Hey, family. Welcome to Mantle Motivations podcast. I am your host, Dominique Bishop. And today we have Mr. Muhkenzy Quillon. I said that right, right?
Said it right.
Okay,
You
perfect.
got it right.
I said it kind of slow, but Muhkenzy Quillon. There we go. All right. Let me go ahead and read your bio. We're gonna get right into this conversation because I'm so excited and I know you're ready.
I
All right.
am.
So Muhkenzy is an R&B singer songwriter, originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina, but moved to Atlanta from Newark, Delaware, going on 3 years ago. Muhkenzy has been over the last year performing in various areas and event spaces, trying to get his voice heard to hearts everywhere. What's up, Muhkenzy?
Hi, Boo. What's going on? What is going on?
Good. I'm good.
I'm so
So
excited about this.
I could tell. I know we both just cheese it.
Right.
All right. So I read your bio, but I want you to go ahead and tell the people about yourself because I didn't know you were from all those different places.
Yes. Yes.
I
And there's many more to add onto that list. So
understand.
yes. So like my friend Dominique said, my name is Muhkenzy Quillon. I'm originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I lived there till I was about 15. And then at 15, I moved to Philadelphia. I lived there for a couple of years. And then from there, moved to Delaware. And now I'm officially here in Marietta, Georgia to be official. And I've been here going on 3 years in November. To tell a little bit more about myself, I've been singing all my life. R&B is my heart. That's what I was raised on. I always say that memories that always come to my mind at first is my mom cooking in the kitchen, and she's always put an SWV album, and just think about all those nostalgic '90s moments. So R&B has been my first love. So singing's been something I've always done, but also with that, I've always been a person that's loud to speak, love to talk. So I've always wanted to be in something. So I did a little bit of school too. So I went to school for communications for a little while. Then it was psychology for a little bit. So definitely had many lives, I always say when I tell people my story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the oldest of seven in total. I have three brothers and I have three stepsisters. I don't call them my stepsisters, though. Those are my blood. Those are my loves. I've known them. We've been together since we were kids. So those are not my step. Those are my sisters. So yeah, so pretty much that's a gist of my life right there. There's so much more than that, but I feel like we'd be here forever telling that introduction. So
I got you. Well, that's beautiful. Yeah, because when I was reading your bio, I was like, dang, he lived here, and
yes,
but it
yes.
kind of sounded like me because we started in Chicago, went to Mississippi, now we're in Georgia.
Yeah, yeah. And see, my it all comes from my dad was in the military. So, being a military brat, you always are somewhere. And then of course, just wanting to live life, you want to feel like you're grown. So
Right.
so that's how I got some places too.
So you've been in Atlanta for only 3 years, right?
Yeah. Hmm,
Okay,
hmm.
that's what's up. All right.
Yeah.
So, first question I got for you. I said, so traveling around, you moved a lot from Fayetteville to Newark and then to Atlanta and some other places. How has each place shaped you as an artist and influenced the music you're creating today?
Oh, that's a good question.
I try.
Yeah, I like that. Um, so I would definitely say that a few of the states I moved to were definitely times in my life where I was dealing with something. I would say, I won't say the word dealing, I was growing from something would probably be the best way to put it. Um, and with that, I feel like when it comes to the type of music that I sing now, it just kind of hones into what we grew up listening to. Love music because I'm
Mm.
from a time where love was supposed to be special. Love is supposed to be special. I say that again. Love is supposed to be special. And so I always want to speak about that and sing about that because I feel like that's something that we don't have. That's something that a lot of us long for still. I know I do. And so I feel like when you're in those type of spaces where you can kind of tell a story, I feel like the story I always want to tell is love. And I feel like every state that I've gone to, I've learned something in a way of love that shaped me to be better in it. And it doesn't always necessarily mean love in relationships, love in friendship, love in life, love in family. Music really tells a story depending on whatever it is you're dealing with or whatever you have going on. So I feel like with the songs that I choose and the songs that I want to start singing of my own, I definitely want them to tell a story that impacts you enough to want to shape your heart in some form of love, for sure. So
That's
yeah.
beautiful. I like that. And speaking of stories, we gonna get into real quick sidebar how we met.
Yes. Okay.
I'm gonna let you tell it because
Okay.
they hear me talk a lot. I'm gonna let you tell it.
So true story. Um, I met Dominique and her wife when I worked at Lens Crafters. I used to sell glasses. It's been about 3 years, about that too, about that time. Since I met them, which is crazy. It's been that long already. Um, selling glasses, and it's funny, we were just telling this story, and I'm glad we talked about it because it makes me feel like in real time I can tell it.
Yeah.
Um, so came in to get glasses, and of course I worked at Lens Crafters. Lens Crafters, no shade, is a money driven company. I mean, that sells. That's how every company is that has
Most
sales.
of them are, yeah, especially
Yeah,
with sales, yeah.
exactly. It's all about money and profit. However, these two ladies wanted to get something that was beneficial for what they needed, not things they necessarily wanted. So, with that being said, having the manager that I had, she was very strict on what she wanted you to say and what she wanted you to do.
Mm.
And these ladies weren't having that, especially wifey. Wifey wasn't
Gotcha.
having that. So wifey wasn't having that. So after dealing with a couple of people, I happened to walk up and ask, could I help them? And she was like, listen, I my wife don't need all that extra stuff. I just want her to have something so she can see. Can you please help us? And I was like, absolutely. And we sat there and we went through glasses. I remember the glasses that you picked too. That's the crazy part because I think they were gray, right? They were like a gray square
It,
pair, weren't
it
they? Or
had
they were
it was
blue,
a
kind
square
of.
pair. There was no, yeah, it was blue.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, it was the
Or
blue
money
one.
exchange glasses. I definitely remember that.
Yep.
So picked out glasses, but at the same time while we were picking out glasses, we just were talking and getting to know each other. And I felt like it just felt very familiar being around them. And to this day, it's like it's crazy. I don't get to see them often, but when I see them, it's always in a moment where you need somebody or you always need like that familiar face.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, I'll see either both of them or one of them somewhere, and that's how we always end up reconnecting. So that's the introduction of our friendship. But the crazy thing is, the reconnections are even the crazier stories of it all. Because it didn't just go from lens crafters, it left lens crafters because after I saw them and met them, I went through some hardships at that job, and then I ended up moving gracefully into another job in another part of medical field in a hospital, whole different part of Atlanta, whole different part of Georgia, and just happened to be sitting at my desk. I was a front desk receptionist at the time, sitting at my desk minding my business, and wifey is in front of me, TT is in front of me, and we're just talking. And again, just like the first time, it just was this familiarity that just felt comfortable. And we were just talking and laughing. And I looked at her and she looked at me and she was like, I know you from somewhere. And I looked at her and I was like, I feel like I know you from somewhere too. And I just could not figure it out at the time. And she sat there for probably, it didn't take her long. It didn't take her
Right.
long at all.
Yeah.
Like 2 seconds. And she was like, you sold my wife glasses. And I sat there for a second. I thought about it and I was like, I sure did. And they have come to my shows, they come to my performances. They have been some of the most supportive people in my life. And it's crazy how just meeting people at the Clear Blue Sky can give you some lasting relationships. So if you ain't heard it from nobody, you hear it from us that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And some people you meet are some lasting things you never know that you needed.
Yeah. And I love it because um being around you and talking to you, like you said, it's a kindred spirit. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like it feels like family, you know,
Right.
like you my cool cousin, you know, like
Right. Right.
and when we saw you perform at Apache,
Mm-hmm.
and that was an amazing show. I loved
Thank
it. Live
you.
music. If y'all in Atlanta, go to Apache. Seriously. Because I know
Yeah.
you perform there often still, don't you?
And so I haven't as of lately, but I'm actually picking back up this week with them. So I'm actually really excited about that because Apache, I call them one of my home, I call them like a home location for me because they're really like that's the first place I started at. So I'm excited to be back there again. But yeah, Apache is a really awesome place to go to. They always have live music. They always have something going on at Apache.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
Mm.
And you know, they got good food too. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, after we left the set, I know all three of us walked out together, and I think we stood in the parking lot for like another what, almost hour, just
Yes,
talking.
just
And then,
talking.
and then we kept looking around, was like, okay, we need to get in our cars.
I mean, Apache's nice, but you know, you still, no matter where you at, you have to
Still
keep
in
your
Atlanta.
eyes on the beam because you never know what's around you, no matter where you at. For sure. But yes, we definitely was out there for a long time. And the thing about it was it wasn't even just about the show. We were talking about life. We were talking about you being a drummer and just wanting opportunities. I'm very big on when I find out that people that I'm close to or people that I know support me have interests and hobbies or hidden talents. I always am a pusher. I'm gonna be because I want somebody to push me, so I'm always a pusher. So the fact we were able to connect on that too, like it was so many things we talked about in that conversation. So that was so much fun. That was more fun. I feel like even during the performance, it was more fun just standing outside.
Yeah, every time we talk, even before we just got on here, we talked for like about a good half an hour. Just
Yeah, we did. Yes, we
it
did.
was good conversation. So it's always good when we hang out.
Absolutely,
Um,
it is.
all right, so let's talk about your Atlanta experience. So moving to Atlanta is a huge step for a lot of artists. This is like the mecca, right? One of the meccas for music.
Yes, it is.
So, what was your driving force behind the move, and how has the Atlanta music scene challenged you or inspired you to grow as an artist?
Hmm, that's a good question. You got some good questions. Okay, so the driving force in me moving to Georgia, actually, this was a long time coming, shockingly. I have a very bad habit of procrastinating and psyching myself out of doing things. So I moved, like I said, I moved to Philly and then I moved to Delaware. And I had been wanting to move back down south for a while, just because I was also part of other parts of the community. I was also part of like the drag community too. So I was always at pageants and things like that. Oh yeah, I've
Okay.
when I said I've lived many lives,
Oh,
I said I've
see
lived
ya.
lives. I've lived many lives. There's so many. I'm telling you, if we sat here and I told you the stories, we'll be here for a long time. I've done a lot of things, but yes,
That,
I for yeah. Remember that when we sit outside of this off camera, we're going to talk.
that part.
But yeah, so I was a part of the drag community for a long time. So I was always traveling back and forth from Delaware to Atlanta for pageants. And at the time, I had a chosen pageant mother, and she lived here in Atlanta. She's always like, "You need to move to Atlanta, you need to move to Atlanta." And I just was like, "Yeah," but at the time, I had a relationship, so that stopped me. Then, just the fear of failing, because we always fear failing. That's the number one thing that stops us.
Definitely.
And so, and most of the times, we fear ourselves more than fear it is. So,
That's
not how
fact.
that goes. But um, like I said, long time coming. But then I came down here actually for a wedding of some friends. And at the time, like a lot of things, God has a way of kind of telling you need to move on without saying it, but showing it in others.
Yeah.
And so I was going through a lot of fluctuations of relationships at the time. And so when I came down here for the wedding, it was like talking to them and kind of just expressing what was going on. They were like, you don't really have nothing really stopping you now. Why don't you move? And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the time. Like maybe I need to go ahead and just shake off that fear. There's nothing holding me back. I just need to go ahead and just do it. So I literally packed up my stuff. I called, and it's crazy. Again, I think the number one headline, the subliminal message of this podcast interview is going to be timing, because right before I left Atlanta from the wedding, I called a random lens crafters just to see if they were hiring. And not only were they hiring, the first one I called, well, not only were they hiring, but they were hiring for my same position.
Look at
So I
that.
was able to transfer my job. So it was like everything was like perfect alignment. Like my friends were allowing me to stay with them.
Yeah.
My job was allowing me to transfer. Like things were just working out.
That's good.
So that's kind of how that went. Now, as far as the music scene went, again, fear. I was always at these events. I was always at like the little karaoke's, but I never did them. And then I went to one night and went by myself, and I met this guy named Jermaine. If I don't know if he's gonna, I'm sure he's gonna see this once he sees I'm on it, and I had to tell him I love him. I saw him at the event. We just were sitting beside each other, and we were doing a practice run. It was a karaoke competition, and they were like, let's have everybody just practice a song. So I sung a song, and he was like, "Oh my God, you just sound so great. And do you sing around here?" And I was like, "No, I don't I'm not doing anything with this voice." And he cussed me out. Just had met me, cussed me out. He was like, "No, you have to do something with that." And he started telling me, like, you need to go to these karaoke places, you need to go here, you need to go there. And then he ended up taking me to Candy's restaurant, Blaze and Steak Seafood.
Yeah.
And he had karaoke, and she was there. And I literally got to sing with her. And it was like him. And then I met another lady named Goldie that was there. I love her too. And they like were the ones who kind of like grabbed me out of this shell I was in and was like, you need to do something with that. And then again, timing. I was sitting at home one day scrolling through Instagram, and I saw, how your algorithm kind of follows what you do.
Yep.
And it followed, of course, I was looking at a lot of jam sessions and karaoke places, and this event called Soul Tales popped up at Apache, and they were looking for singers. So I inboxed the page and I was like, "Hey, how do you sign up?" And they were like, "You just say you want to do it." And I was like, "Oh, well, I want to do it." I want to do it. And so I met another amazing person, Ishmael. Love him too. He allowed me to do his show. Never met me before a day in his life. I had maybe like one video up of me singing something on my page. Took a whim, and I haven't stopped running since. It's just kind of like everything since I moved here just has been perfect timing. I can't take it to nothing else but that.
That's what's up. And your Instagram is lit. Because every time I look at your Instagram, or you posting something, you singing here, you singing there, you singing, you doing it. I'll be like, look at my boy.
Let me tell you, I have to say, and it's really, I just say it's all a blessing, honestly. Everything, I truly stand behind. Everything happens for a reason. One thing I will definitely say that I've learned along the way is that closed mouths don't get fed. And a lot of times, if you just ask a question, you never know what you can get from it. You never know what you can get from it. And so, with that being said, a lot of times, like I said, I've been hitting the ground running. It just really has just been being in the right place at one time just pulls you into another place. And I just have been so fortunate. I really have been so fortunate. I cannot stress that enough. I've been so fortunate.
It's like putting a key in the lock and turning it. It's like, as soon as I do this one thing, that's gonna set everything else off.
You know what else it does? It puts life in perspective, because it's like, if you really would have just took the time to just step out into that water, just step into that puddle, you would have never known where you could be now. And granted, everything has its timing and everything has its course. So I never fault anything on shoulda, woulda, coulda. It's happening right where it's supposed to happen.
Yep.
But I definitely will say that it made me realize that if there's anything that I want to do in my life, I can do it if I put the initiative behind it.
Yes.
And I put the initiative behind it. And like you said, I put that key in that door, and it's crazy. I just feel like I have not hit a door yet that has not opened.
That's what I'm talking about. When it's ordained, it's ordained.
Yeah. And I'm learning that. And we as people sometimes, because we never want to just hone into that blessing that we have and just that coverage that we have, we don't want to take the time to acknowledge the fact that we really are covered in some places that we just don't know. And sometimes that manifestation that you put into your life is a real thing. It is a real thing.
It is. I love it because OMG, the time and the moment, and it's not just about our time, and it's about God's time.
Exactly.
And the thing about it is, He knows us.
Right.
He knows our fears. He knows, what we're gonna go through in life. It's already planned. It's already ordained. Sometimes
Right.
it takes for certain things to happen to us in order for us to be like, okay, I need to switch gears,
Exactly.
you know. And the difference between the person that is successful in life, and everybody defines success in their own way. But
Mhm.
the difference between the person that is successful in life and the person that's not is they never had, or they had that definitive moment but didn't make the decision to change.
Exactly. Exactly.
What we just say earlier, the definition of insanity: doing
Say it.
the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different outcome. You
Exactly.
can't be on a merry-go-round of life
You
and
can't.
expect to win the race. It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And it's crazy because you, and it's you, and I feel like I love the fact that we're having this interview because you made a really good point when we were, before we started the interview, where you said that it's important for people, when we look at the sense of regular people, our modern day people, to be able to see reflections of themselves and see that they can do it too. And you made that point.
We were talking about being on a merry-go-round,
Oh
and
yeah.
you were making a point
Oh,
about that. You remember?
about what you said before the interview. Yes, I do remember.
Yeah.
I was talking about how you had said that you were interviewing people who in society's terms are modern people, so they can see people's journey. And I feel like that's what's missing from social media, is that we see people that are one day like us and the next day they're nothing like us. We don't see that journey, and that really is what connects us to the artist or whoever it may be, the actor, the whoever it could be. And
Yeah.
the best thing about what we want to know is, how did you get there? And so I feel like that's what's really exciting about this, is that point. And I feel like that's going back into the Instagram and about the posts that and the videos that I post on there. That's really why I post the content that I post, is because I feel like it gives me also a chance to look back at where I started and see my own journey, but also it's a journey that I feel like is a part of all of our lives. We're all trying to get somewhere. We're all trying to learn something in some avenue. So you get to see my story, and hopefully my story allows you to be able to say, let me open my book and start my story. So
There you go.
yeah, that's where we're going to get to in our last conversation.
And that's what it's all about. But yeah, so that, like I said before, that's why I started this podcast, because like you said, people just see the glamorous side of everything. And that's how social media, and that's one reason why I love TikTok, because
Yeah.
TikTok, they are real on there. Like, you see people's nasty kitchens and I mean, you know what I mean? You see the life,
Yeah.
on Instagram, everybody's so done up and so, let me get myself together and,
Yeah.
you know, green screen
Yeah.
and all this type of stuff. So it was important for me to have this podcast and have it be authentic. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I'm
Yeah.
trying to be a person, a
Right.
person that has made the decision in their mind. I'm gonna take that step to change. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's like, hey, he did it, she did it, this other person did it. I can do it too.
Exactly.
And it don't always have to be some like big grandiose gesture. It could be some as
No.
small as taking a class or reading a book or,
Yeah.
going outside walking, like whatever, as long as you're taking the steps and breaking those bad habits.
Yeah.
Start formulating
Exactly.
start formulating those new habits. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And work on things a little bit at a time. And that's what it's all about. That's why I just want people to chime in to themselves. Cause like you
Hmm.
said, we have everything we need. God, He hooked us up from the
Yeah.
moon. He
Yeah.
gave us our desires. He gave us our likes. He gave us our dislikes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We came ready made.
Exactly. Exactly. We came prepared for war and for
Yeah.
battle. It's just, you have to make sure that you pick out the right weapons. And the thing about it is, if you don't pick the right weapons, you're not gonna go into the right battle. But if you think strategically,
Yeah.
it'll work out. And I was going to also say too that not every accomplishment has to be groundbreaking. Not every accomplishment has to be something that you just see a sporadic change. Some
Yeah.
things I always have said, and I've been saying a lot lately in this path I'm on now, is planting those small seeds and just watching them grow is probably
Yeah.
the most rewarding things you'll ever get in your journey, is to actually see what you planted and where it started and where it's going and where it's going to be. Is probably the most important thing you'll experience when you're going through a journey that's designed for you. You'll definitely, once you see those seeds start to grow, you'll know you're in the right direction.
Yes, definitely. And when I tell
Mhm.
you this that I'm doing has pushed me out of my comfort zone in so many ways. And like we talked, I'm interested in doing lives now and stuff, but I'm taking I'm taking my time working my way up to it. But
Right,
just doing this because I don't have a problem talking to people, obviously.
right,
But
right,
the
right.
thing for me was getting out here and putting myself in front of a camera, in front of everybody. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I will post
right,
on social media from here to there, but I'm not no content creator. I'm not,
right.
So I love this, and I'm so happy
Yes,
that you said yes. So thank you so much.
yes. No, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Of
Thank you.
course. All right, so let's talk about breaking through, tying it
Mm.
into it, right? So over the past year, you say you've been, working hard to get your voice heard in various spaces. So what has been some of the most challenging moments in this journey of making a name for yourself, and how have you pushed through those obstacles? And I think you talked a little bit about it already, but if you want to dive back into it and give us
Yeah,
some more, that's good.
absolutely. Um, so I have to say, Georgia's a big state. Atlanta, like you said, is the mecca of artists. There is a lot of thriving artists in Atlanta, a lot of amazing, talented artists in Atlanta. And although there are spaces for everyone, it's still, I feel like in every career path, there's always seclusion for some reason. There's always, for some reason, everyone doesn't necessarily want to share their resources per se.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand that.
and I also feel like it's not so much the resource, but even sometimes, even when you're in spaces with people, just even turning to their neighbor that they know and giving that resource, just introducing you to somebody. That to me, I feel like is the hardest thing because, you know, singing, and once you have honed into the fact that you have that talent of singing and you start to build your confidence, you learn that no matter what room you're in, when you have talent, your talent is going to always shine for you to be
Right.
able to make yourself entered into any room.
Yeah.
But when you get off that stage and now it's just you, it's not the talent, you have to introduce the talent now. And sometimes it's hard when you're in those spaces where it's so many people. And sometimes, as extroverted as we want to be, it's just as introverted as we can be sometimes. And
Right.
so those moments where you're like, you kind of are hesitant to walk up to certain people. Some days it feels great and that's the motive and you want to do it. And other days you go into an event, you're kind of just like, you second guess yourself. And so I feel like that's probably been one of the most challenging things. But I feel like how I've broken past that is that I take those moments to just reflect on where I've come from and how far I've come and the people that I have been in close quarters with that have been so amazing and so talented, and being able to say, I've been able to be in these rooms with these people. I should be able to introduce myself to those same people. And so that has been kind of what's been my driving force now, is just being like, okay, I have that personality, and just allow yourself to be comfortable. Just remind yourself. Sometimes you have to remind yourself when you walk into a room who you are. And so that's really what it's been too, is just a self-reminder.
Yeah.
It's really been the most challenging thing, to be honest with you. But that has also been something that's been rewarding because I'm learning as I go along with doing it too.
Hmm. That's good. I like that. And then another part you can add to that too is discernment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing
Mm-hmm.
who to talk to and when to talk to, and
Exactly.
knowing who to talk to and when to talk. Because
Right.
sometimes it's not always meant. And you
You're
know what I
absolutely
mean?
right.
Or you might be
Absolutely right.
or you might be in the wrong environment and around the wrong people. You know what I mean? So that
I
discernment
agree.
comes into play. And I'm gonna give you an
Yes.
example of no, go ahead, go ahead. I
No, no,
remember.
no,
Go
no,
ahead.
no, no. I'm saying yes to you. No, go ahead.
Oh, I got you. It was something that just happened to me this past weekend. We went to a friend's wedding, and it was this guy there, very well dressed, had locks, handsome guy. And it was just something in me that kept telling me, go talk to him. Go talk
Hmm.
to him. And I was like, I don't know this man.
Right.
I'm like, are we at a
Right.
wedding? Like, you know what I
Like,
mean? But
no, right.
and I said it to wifey too. I said, I need to go talk to him. And you know her, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Life
if
is down for
anything,
any cause.
right, she gonna always push me off the ledge. She like, girl, gone,
Yes,
you
she is.
know. But
Yes,
sure enough, I got up. I waited. I was patient because he was talking to somebody. I don't want to interrupt you. I always want to do it right, right? And then he
right.
was talking to another female. I didn't know if he was macking or not, so I definitely didn't want to intrude on that. So,
Right. Big
so then
block. You can't
finally,
block that.
right, right. So then finally, he was by himself, and I just walked up to him and I introduced myself, and I was like, "Sir, I feel like I need to know you."
Hmm.
And I introduced I said, "Well, my name is Dominique and da 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 da." And I said, "And what's your name?" And he told me his name. And I said, "And what do you do?" And he's in the music industry. And big time in
Hmm.
Atlanta. And I told him, I said, "Well, I've started a podcast and I explained to him I interview people and this, that, and the other." He was like, "That's why you needed to meet me." And I was like, okay.
Wow.
He was like, "I got a studio." He was like, "I got a studio and I do interviews and stuff like that too." So he was like, "Hit me up on Instagram." We exchanged information, Instagram stuff, and how that happened. And when I walked away from him, when I tell you, I felt so relieved.
Yes.
I was like,
Right.
OMG. I was
That's
like, I can't believe that just
crazy.
happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've been doing a lot of, following my first mind and listening to that inner voice.
Mhm.
Because it has been, and I know it's God. Let me just, not just that inner voice. I know it's God leading me.
Right.
But listening to him, I'm telling you, it's been some crazy, and it may seem small to other people, but he's
It's
been
big.
proving himself to me, like for real, for real. Like,
Absolutely.
and it's crazy that he even has to, because my whole life, God's been there for me. I know he
Right.
has, right hand
Absolutely.
to God. He's been there for me. He's been covering me and protecting me from so many things. Um,
Yes.
but it's like it's that reassurance. I got you, baby girl.
Hmm.
I got you.
Uh-huh.
And he
Exactly.
doing the same thing with you. I got you, son. You straight. You
Right.
good. Go ahead. Live your dreams. Do what you got to
Right. It's crazy
do.
because when you realize that he's there and you realize, and it's like that overwhelming feeling that you get when you start to see the things happen, that you know that he's just like, that's expected. I knew that was going to happen. So just hold
Right.
on.
Right.
Just deep breath. But this is supposed to happen. You're supposed to feel this way.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
different feeling, but it's definitely a feeling that lets you know you're going, like I said, you're going in the right direction.
That part. And it feels so good. It feels, oh my God. I low
It
key get
does.
emotional thinking about it because it feels so good.
I
You know what I mean? And this is the best that I've felt in years, as far as
and
what
itself.
I'm doing in my life and with my life. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like when you
Yeah.
finally on the right path, like for real, it's like,
Mhm.
oh wow, this is where I
Yeah.
should have been all along.
Right. It's like you smell a different type of air, you see a different type of grass, you see just a whole different type of scenery, and it's the same place you were in, but you look at it in a different perspective now.
Yeah, yeah.
For
It's
sure.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yes.
And that's why
It,
I love your story with the traveling and everything, and going back and forth, and it's like you you were already on your path, But it's
Yeah.
like you was doing like this. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it was definitely a tug of war. It
Yeah.
definitely was a tug of war for a long time. And it just was that final pull, and I just had to give in and fall forward. And I definitely fell in the mud, but I definitely am seeing why I fell into that mud. It was a purpose behind that mud for sure.
That part. Oh,
Mhm.
I love it, Mackenzie. I love it. Now, my bad, Kenzie. I saw the text message.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I always get asked, what do I like to go by?
Uh-huh.
And I growing up, my name was not my I didn't like my name. But
Mm,
that was because without going into so much, 'cause again, like I told you, I've lived many lives. I was bullied through my childhood, all through
yeah,
school.
yeah.
So Mackenzie was in that time considered a girl name.
Mm,
So I kind of didn't really want to be called Mackenzie. So one side of my family called me Ken, one side of my family called me Kinsey. People in
gotcha.
school called me Mackie. So I've been called everything in my name.
Okay.
So I don't mind anything, but yeah, Kinsey's just been the most common thing. So yes, you can absolutely call me Kinsey. And also, what I should have told in the beginning of this story was my stage name. So my biological name spelling is Mackenzie, but
Hmm.
my artist name is spelled Muhkenzy, Muhkenzy.
Yeah.
And the reason that I got that, and it's crazy because I actually got that name from Facebook.
Okay.
So, yeah, so Facebook, when you look to ever edit your page, it tells you it shows there's how to pronounce your name.
Yeah.
So how they pronounce it in the spelling was Muhkenzee. And I
Mm,
just took the off and added a Y.
that's what's up. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I thought I
I
was
like
like,
that.
I didn't want to use my actual name, but at the same time, I wanted something that was different. There's a lot of other Mackenzies out there,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt like spelling it that way, it just took it a different way. Kind of like Kim with
Yeah.
Kim,
Yeah.
how his spelling is.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like
I
that.
like it. No, that's
Yeah,
good though. I like that. That's real cool. Because I
yeah,
know when I sent you the email, I was like, wait a minute, am I spelling his name right? Is that how you? And then I looked at
yeah,
your Instagram. I was like, oh no, it is Kenzie. And then yeah,
exactly.
I got you.
Hmm.
That's dope, man. All right. So, um, next subject we want to get on is finding strength, right? So through personal battles and music. We already talked about this a little bit. So life is not always easy, as we know, and struggles we face often seep into our art sometimes, and what we do. So, can you share some of the personal life struggles that you've overcome and how they've impacted um, your music, or how you created your music, or how you creating your music now?
Um, hmm,
That's if you
that's
feel like going there, because that's a deep
Yeah, that's
question.
that's deep. Yeah, that's deep. I gotta think about that for a second. I don't mind answering it, but that's definitely deep. That's
I
deep.
got you.
Um, okay. So this kind of goes into my coming out story a little bit.
Okay.
So that'll be another part of my life that I'll get to share.
Yeah.
So my coming out story isn't kind of like the being young and the experience of that. It was more so like I said, I got bullied through school. That was probably one of the biggest things I got bullied on, was being told I was something I had no clue what it was, because who in those age groups are supposed to know what that is, but
That
that's
part.
not my business. But I actually didn't come out until I was 18,
Mm.
and I was in my first relationship when I turned 18. Like it was like straight into love when I got into my first relationship. um, However, there were some situations that happened within that relationship that made it come to light that that was not something that was known amongst the family. And it caused a lot of, if you can imagine, a
I
lot of
believe you.
things.
I believe you.
I was really 17 going on 18, I want to say, because I was a senior in high school. So imagine like going through kind of like an adult love story at such a
Yeah.
young age.
Facts. Yeah.
It definitely put me into a place of depression once everything happened the way that it happened. Of course, it fell apart. Um, and from that, I always had this idea because of having that first experience in that relationship and experiencing that type of love I felt like at that time. It kind of shaped what I always thought love was supposed to look like for me. Like just feeling like you're supposed to have that person that's there by your side all the time. Because again, we were in school, so at that time you just crushing, and you
Hmm.
guys have each other's phones, and y'all got each other's book bags and all that
Yep.
stuff, and wanting to be around each other. It kind of like shaped my views on love and what I feel like love was supposed to look like, how I wanted to give love, and how I wanted to receive love. And of course, as humans, we don't always follow the views that we have, but at the same time, we kind of, the overall image is what we want is of that love, whatever. So through life, I've had a lot of ups and downs with relationships where the love that I continually say that I want, I never really saw come to fruition.
Hmm.
But those songs that we grew up to with our parents always talked about that love. So you always felt like that love had to be somewhere if somebody was able to write about it, right?
Right.
And if somebody was able to sing these songs to make you feel these ways, that love has to be out there somewhere.
Definitely.
So I started to find myself where anytime I do a show now, and I do really covers now, I haven't really started doing my own music yet. I've written music before. I have songs recorded. Again, the whole fear thing, but that's about to change very soon. Um, but what I will say when it comes to my cover songs is that I don't pick songs necessarily off of how I'm feeling, but I pick songs off of how I know that song makes me feel.
There you go.
Because I know that if I feel that way about that song, everybody else is going to feel that way about that song.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like having that first relationship happen the way that it happened, it really shaped how I felt and how it really shaped my feelings now as an adult. And although my feelings ain't always the straight and narrow, I'm a little loopy sometimes. It's still
We're all that way.
kind of right. Everybody I feel like has a little loopy side. I
Yeah.
feel like it definitely gave me that idea of like, okay, I've experienced this before. So I know that I want to convey this. And once I feel that again, I'll know that it's something. But when it comes to my music, I feel like until I actually feel that again, I know how I felt to be able to convey in the music that I sing. Because I feel like when I sing songs, it comes from my soul because I'm singing what I feel, or I'm singing that song because that's how that song made me feel at that moment. And I want to express that. So that relationship really just shaped everything going on to now.
That's beautiful. And that's some of the best music. Some of the best music
Mm-hmm.
made is when it comes from inside, not just, you know, that poppy stuff that real light on the top. Now, I see the whole and I wish it would come back. I really truly do because we need it. But the whole neo soul movement, man,
Yes. Yes.
I was
I
there for it.
I
I was there for
love
all of it.
that. Let me
And V8 and VH when VH1 Soul came out, and
yes,
all those different stations catered to neo soul specifically, and the underground soul. That was
yes.
all me. I'm like, because this is music I can feel, and I understand these feelings, or even some of the feelings I don't understand. I'm gonna understand them one day.
Right, 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 exactly.
So
And
that
I
makes
feel
me love
like
music.
I wish that they have it now, like BET Soul and VH1 Soul. They still have them, but I feel like they don't push them as much now. And Neo Soul is starting to come back again.
Yeah.
And I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm hoping that we eventually get that again because neo soul is like just the most perfect blend of R&B and soul that you have ever experienced in your life. And
Yeah.
it's like not only is it the best cleaning music, but it's the most therapeutic music. It's that I feel like neo soul is that good instant music. It's supposed to soothe
Mhm.
your soul, and that's the type of music
Right.
that I just love to touch people with, because it's like I want you to feel like when you hear that song come on, I want you to feel like ooh, it's like that ooh that you want to hear when you start to sing, because you know that people feel it in their soul, and that's what neo soul and that's what R&B is about.
Mhm. I love it. I love sometimes being able to sit in the audience. And so this past, was it Friday? This past
Mhm.
Friday we went to see Layla Hathaway. Oh my God.
Mm.
And she was at center stage. So,
Seen her and
center stage is a nice intimate venue. Like no matter where you sit inside center stage, you're close. It's not a huge like State Farm Arena, nothing like that. It's very nice and intimate.
yeah.
So, man, and look, that's a Layla, amazing,
Wow.
amazing in her own right. But the vibe, right? The
Right.
vibe and the mood that was set. And when I tell you we were in it and everybody in there was in it, we were there. And that I feel is how music is supposed to be. I don't get
Yes.
excited about like trying to go to a Drake concert or nothing against him, or
Yeah.
like even Rick Ross, like rap concerts and stuff like that. Don't excite me because I'm not
Right.
feeling nothing when I go there. That's just
Right.
club. That's club music to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's what I'm listening to. Maybe while I'm getting ready to go out or something like that.
Right.
But
I
lately,
call it, it's like hype music.
the
Right.
hype
It's that.
music. Yeah, yeah. But
It,
me and my wife getting ready to go out on a date night or whatever. We listening to Jasmine Sullivan station or Maxwell or some getting the mood. You know what I mean? So
right.
I love that vibe because again, I'm in love with love.
Right.
I always have been to a certain degree,
Me
and
too.
yeah, yeah. And the older I get, the deeper the love is for love.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's why
I
I
believe
try to make
it. I
sure,
believe it.
yeah, that's why I like my connections to be authentic. You know what I mean?
Right.
With the people that I talk to and the people I connect with, it's like I want you to feel the love that I actually have for you. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And that's real. So I
Yeah.
love that you putting that into your music because it's those experiences that people can relate to. We can always relate to having a first love.
Right.
We
It-
all had one. You know what I mean?
mhm.
And I remember mine. And then you remember your first love, you remember your first heartbreak. You
Right. Right.
you
You're
know what
gonna
I mean?
definitely remember those.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I
I
love it
remember-
because like you were saying in the 90s and back in the day, we had a lot of love music, and the
Yeah.
neo soul movement and stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
the industry really got away from that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I know
Yeah.
why. I know why, but it's always a plot and the plan. We know why, the whole ulterior motive, but we need to get back to that as people, especially as Black people,
Yes.
and we got to push that.
I agree. And I love that too, because I feel like it's starting to happen. I feel like it's like little pieces of those artists coming out, like Duran. It's like
Yeah.
so many artists that's coming out that's just dropping in the mix,
Hmm.
and they're making waves, and
Lucky
it's just
Day,
spreading out. It's
Coco.
taking its
Oh,
time, but it's spreading out. And I feel like
yeah.
we're getting there, and manifesting that eventually I'm gonna drop into that puddle, and then we're just gonna keep mixing, and it's just gonna keep growing, I hope, because
You
that music
already
is
there. You on your way. You're not eventually. You
I
on your
definitely
way.
I feel that way. I definitely feel that way. I definitely feel that way. It's funny. I had an interview and I said that I was asked, when do you feel like you will make it? And I was like, I already feel like I'm making it because I'm doing what I wanted to do. I've made it in my own right. So I definitely, yeah, I have. And it's crazy because like we were saying earlier, you have to kind of sit back and remind yourself who you are, because it's not being conceited to pride yourself in knowing how far you've come, because everybody can't make it that far. And it's not that they can't make it, some just don't choose to.
It's
There may be
stubborn.
some
Yeah.
that can't, but most people that say they can't, 9 out of 10 can. So it's not so much of that. It's really just people just don't choose to. So when you have people like yourself and like myself and others that have the opportunity and do it, you have to take it. You have to do it. And you have to remind yourself of, I did it.
Definitely. And people really psych themselves out. Like they
Yes.
really do, and they get in their head and that negative voice start talking, and then you start having the questions of, um, well, why,
Right.
why not? Or why should I do that? Or what's the benefit? Like, what is it? But then on the opposite side, you have that whole fear of not being successful.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, first, let's define what successful is. And that's why I like what you said when you was like, when they asked you the question, when do you feel like you'll make it? And you said, I feel like I already have, because
Mhm.
I'm doing what I love. And
Right.
that's successful. You are successful. You know what I mean? You already in that vein. And it's just gonna lead you to bigger, better, and greater things. But you already there. And you have that mindset already that you are there.
Right. There's
I'm telling you,
manifestation.
is this thing right here.
Yes. That is the biggest thing that will hold you back. It really is. It really is. Because I'm telling you, you'll look around, and I do it a lot of times. Like you'll look around and you'll just see so many people around you that are literally in the same boat as you. You'll never guess it until you talk to them, but
Yeah,
they're in the same boat as you, but they're doing so many different things because they're just pushing themselves to do it a different way. And sometimes you just have to take your notepad out and you have to write it down what you see, because you'll definitely pick up notes from different people around you. But you learn so much because it's so many different avenues. There's so many things that you can really do. Like we said, that really are accomplishments, no matter how small they are. But the fact that you did it, and it always starts off with one small thing. They always say one small idea can bring you so many fortunes that you would have never thought of if you would have just took that idea and ran with it.
that's facts. I love it. All right. So the next subject we're gonna talk about, which we have been talking about it throughout, faith and music. So
Mm-hmm.
spiritual connection. So many artists, they find their faith intertwined with their craft. So how has your personal faith journey influenced your songwriting and the message that you want to share through your music? And I know you talked about love a lot. So how has your faith intertwined with all of that?
Yeah. Um, so it's funny because I don't talk about religion often. And I feel like that's just because of our jobs and our careers. You kind of are always told not to really bring religion into the workplace. And so you kind of just put that into everyday life. But I definitely would say, of course, being from North Carolina, I grew up in the church. So faith has always been beside me. It's always been something that's been in depth into my heart since the beginning. So I always go into everything with faith and then with love behind that. Um, but it definitely, like I said, with us talking about timing, has definitely played a major part in my journey now, because it's just the experiences that I've had. I like when it came without faith. Um, we always say we don't want to get our hopes up, but sometimes that hope is what turns into faith.
Yep.
So if you don't look at it as a hope, if you don't put so much sight on that, but just put into the faith that what you have within you to get you there, no matter what the outcome is, you did what you were supposed to do. So I always feel like faith is going to always guide me in everything that I do, especially with my artistry, because it's gotten me this far. And not only that, but it's also faith that's taught me love,
Yeah,
because it's also with faith and love that teaches you patience, and everything else that kind of just falls behind the idea of love. But faith is what always brings everything together, because you have to have faith to think that it's going to work out in the first place, right?
fact.
So, yeah.
Gotcha. um, so music is such a powerful way to connect with people, as we both know. Now, when you're on stage and you're performing your heart out, which I've seen you do, what do you hope that people feel and take away from your music? And I know you talked about love, but the feeling of love. But is there anything else that you want them to take away from your performances?
I definitely want them to take away the fact of, it's funny. I feel like performances, they go through stages if you actually like really look at it, because I always start off like really nervous, and then it's kind of just like a butterfly. It kind of goes from the cocoon and kind of flows up, and then by the end of the song, I'm floating up into the air as a butterfly.
Yeah.
So I really love for people to kind of see that journey through the song and kind of take that journey with me as I go through the song. You know, notes have a way of telling a story themselves before you even put the words to it. And so I always want to make sure that I'm hitting the right notes, of course, but I also want them to leave with feeling like they really got to enjoy not only a song, but they got to enjoy a story. They got to enjoy an energy. And I feel like that energy is the most important thing. I feel like when I step on stage, I always want to make sure people are smiling. I want to make sure everybody's in a good energy and a good vibe. Because if you're not in that energy before I start, you're not going to be in it when it ends, no matter what I do. So I always want to make sure that I put that into my performances. So that's definitely something I want them to take from it, is that I really want them to see not only the journey, but also just to feel the energy that they got from that performance.
That's what's up. And I definitely feel it when I'm there. I can't wait to feel it again
I'm
next
excited for you.
weekend.
I was about to say, I'm excited for you to come for next weekend because it's gonna be different. It's gonna definitely be
And
different.
yeah, and then you was telling me about the whole ambiance of the setup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's gonna get very tiny desk. It's very tiny desk. And I,
And
I think that's the most intimate thing and the most
yeah,
exciting thing is it's more passionate.
and I like that. Like I said with the Layla Hathaway thing, I love the intimate settings. So like I love
Mhm.
those close, those close
Yeah.
settings when you're close to the entertainer and you all
Mhm.
truly get to feel each other. And then the
Exactly.
entertainer doesn't have to go into overdrive to make you feel it.
Exactly.
You're performing in an arena with 50,000 people. You really got to push that energy out there. You got to have backup dancers. You got to have lights. You got to have this. You got to have that to
Exactly.
help you set the ambiance. But you just standing there with a microphone and
Right.
you just start humming or start singing and you're in it and it's flowing from you,
Yeah.
we're gonna feel it.
Exactly. Exactly. And you're definitely gonna feel it when you come next weekend. I cannot wait for y'all to come to see this. It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so
I
good.
bought my tickets. I bought my tickets.
Oh, so
um,
excited.
oh yeah, wifey just got home. I heard the garage open, so she here now.
Perfect
She'll come up
time.
here when she ready in a minute. All right,
Yes.
so in an industry that can often be overwhelming, music industry, whew, Jesus, can be very overwhelming. How do you stay grounded and focused on what truly matters, both in your personal life and in your career?
Um, so with people and just the idea of course, interacting, because the biggest part of this career is networking,
Hmm.
is I always pride myself on the golden rule to treat people the way that I want to be treated.
Yeah,
So I always try to keep that in mind as far as keeping myself grounded. Not only that, I feel like I don't feel like I'm better than anybody else. I feel like I'm great, of course, in my own right, but I don't feel like I have the right to say that I'm better than anyone in regards to saying that I'm above them. I feel like everybody's on the same playing field.
yeah,
So with that, I just feel like I don't try to go into any situation feeling that way or acting that way, because I always want everybody to feel like a human and feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, even though there are people who may have been performing so much longer than I have, they still have those nervous jitters, or they may have some second thoughts. And you never know how your opposites may be something that may be their weaknesses. Your strengths may be their weaknesses,
yeah.
and you guys work off of each other. So I always feel like I keep myself grounded in that you never know who you're going to meet, and you never know what you can learn or they can learn from you. So I always keep that in mind when I'm going into those type of sceneries and those type of industry events. I just try to make sure I keep myself grounded in that thought that I want to treat people the way that I want to be treated,
Yeah,
and I just want everybody to feel their authentic self, because that's the only way you're going to present yourself. And if we're all in the same ground and we all have the ample space and opportunity to make it, we all have to be able to feel like we have that space to be able to feel that way, that good, safe space. So,
that's good. That's good. All right. So, looking back, right? I like to ask this question. Um, if you could go back in time and give advice to your younger self, let's say that 17-year-old, the one we talked about earlier,
Mhm.
um, what would you tell him, or what would you say to him to encourage him?
Hmm.
Or not even just to encourage him, but what would you say, period? It don't have to be one word. You can go ahead and spit a paragraph if you want to.
Um,
Give little Kenzie the rundown.
right, the rundown. Um, if I could tell 17-year-old Muhkenzy anything, I would definitely tell him that, hmm, hmm, that's funny. Um, I would definitely tell him to take people at face value. That would be the first thing I would say. And why I say that is because 17-year-old me and even sometimes 36-year-old me tends to allow people to be in my life a lot longer than they're supposed to be.
Preach on that.
And so if 17-year-old Muhkenzy would have known that, like it would have definitely shaped my outlook and the people that I continue to have around me be around me. That would definitely be the biggest thing. But I will also encourage him by telling him that where you are now is not where you're going to end up. Um,
Good.
because I feel like at that time and with things that I was going through, and I feel like we all went through as teenagers and growing up, and like I said, at that time, being in a relationship and moving and just the childhood quarrels of school, um, I didn't have the confidence and I didn't have the personality that I have now. And if I had the personality that I have now, then it definitely would have changed my whole entire outlook on life. But I wasn't supposed to have it at that time.
Right.
But at the same time, if I would have been able to go back and tell him that, I would have been like, definitely where you are now is not where you're going to end up. You're not going to look like what you look like now. You're not going to even act the way that you act like now. What you look like now is nothing like you're going to be when you grow up. Trust me. That would be the biggest thing. That would be the biggest thing. Like you will never imagine how many people you're about to experience in your life. If I could go back and tell him that,
That's beautiful.
because it definitely would change a whole perspective of life if I would have known that.
That's beautiful. And I was I'm always listening to podcasts and reading stuff. So I honestly don't even remember where I heard or saw this. But
Yeah.
I heard somebody say that our adult selves um are the protectors of our inner child,
Yes.
you know?
I have heard.
And
I have heard
yeah,
that.
and it's important for us, people always want to say, I want to make my inner child smile, make my inner child happy, because we
Mm.
have, a lot of people, nobody had a perfect life, you know what I mean?
Right.
So all of us have dealt with some type of trauma, some type of heartbreak, or something, you know.
Mhm.
um and as you get older, you learn from those things.
Right.
You either learn and go in one direction, or you go in the good direction. And those
Exactly.
of us that go in the good direction, we're able to heal that inner child and make that inner child smile. So that's
Right.
why I like to ask that question, because it gives you an opportunity or a chance to speak to that inner child and say, "Hey, boo, we good."
Right. Right. You
You
wouldn't have thought it, but baby, we done been some places and we done some things.
And look at us now.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
That's what's up. So,
Yeah.
before we get out of here, I want you to do a rundown, and I need you to give people your socials where they can follow you. Also, tell them where you're performing at, because I know sometimes you do like weekly performances at places, and then you do special events. So give the people a rundown of how they can follow you and how they can support.
Okay. So my biggest social media right now that I use is Instagram. So you can follow me on It's Muhkenzy, which is by my artist name. So it's ITS Muhkenzy. You'll find a lot of my content on there. I do have a TikTok. I'm slowly working that up. I actually have to look at my phone to tell you what that is. That's just how new I've been kind of on it. Um, so my TikTok name is It's Muhkenzy One. So spelled the same way as my Instagram. It's ITSMUHKENZY and the number one. You'll find me there. And then as far as my shows go, actually I've been kind of taking it more as they come now. Usually I would kind of just jump into everything, but I kind of feel like now I want to really kind of hone into my artistry, make sure that the places that I'm going are really touching the people that I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything that I'll say is a consistent basis, but I'm really excited because this weekend on the 12th, I am going to be performing back at the First House Creative with Marnino and the Purple Flux for their mini concert, and I'm being one of their openers. So I'm really excited about that. I am performing back with Apache, so that's really exciting. So that might be coming back to be something you might see me at a little more often than not. But I definitely am going to be at a lot of new places. That's my goal for the rest of the year is experiencing new places, new people, networking in different places I haven't been before. So you'll definitely be seeing a lot more of me being places that I haven't been more than anything coming up.
So
Mhm.
where can they purchase the tickets for what you're doing on the 12th?
For the 12th, you can go on firsthouse.media. Once you go on there, I believe when you go down to the bottom of the page, it'll show you their upcoming events.
Mhm.
And then from there, you can buy the ticket straight through the website.
Yep. And they not expensive either. It's like
Not
20,
expensive.
$25 a
They're not.
person.
You can come as you are, just bring yourself something comfortable to sit on because it's very much like a picnic inside, is what the feel is with some nice live music. So make sure you're comfortable, but it definitely is worth it. It definitely is worth it.
That's what's I'm excited. I might have to get well, do they allow filming?
Yeah, they all feel me.
I might have to do a little something to show the people.
You might please. I would love that. I would love that. Let the
That's
people
what's
in the
up.
world.
I
I
have to
would be
get
happy.
have to get some clips of your performance. I'll post it
I
on
would be obliged
on my
and
Instagram and
honored.
stuff.
I would love that. I would love that. I'm actually just excited that you're even coming. So thank you. Thank you.
Of course. We love you. We get down, Kenzie.
Y'all too. I love y'all too. No, I love y'all. Thank y'all. Y'all just don't know. I
No
appreciate y'all.
problem, man. I'm so looking forward to this.
Me
The event on
too.
the 12th. And I really do hope that you guys go ahead and follow Kenzie. Remember it's Muhkenzy. All right. I'm gonna put the socials on here so they can see. But please go in there and follow him. If you're in the Atlanta area, go ahead, support, go out and see him. He's amazing in his performances, and he can sing. What they say, he could blow. All right, that man can
Thank you.
sing. Okay,
Thank
so he gets down, and everything that you heard him talk about you feeling him and feeling where he's coming from, you will experience that. No lie. All right,
Thank
no lie. So
you.
I appreciate you, love. Thank you so much for doing
Thank
this again
you.
and
Thank
sharing your story with us.
I
Um,
appreciate you. Let me do that.
of course, anytime. Now, when you get big and blow up, now, well,
I'm
we gonna
gonna talk about this.
that part,
Y'all gonna be there, but it's gonna be a different level of things at that point.
that part. I'm gonna have to have you gonna have to come back for the anniversary show. All right.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You're putting that all into fruition. Absolutely.
I love that. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and say the tagline. We'll go ahead and get out of here again. We appreciate Muhkenzy. We appreciate you all for watching. And please go support him. Go follow him if you are in the Atlanta area. Get those tickets for the 12th and also check him out at Apache. He definitely keeps you updated on everything that he's doing on his Instagram. So it's important that you get on that Instagram. All right. So let's hit him with the tagline. You ready? One,
I'm ready.
2, 3. Your crown may
Yes,
be tilted,
but
but
never
never
ever
ever
let it
let it
fall.
fall. All right. Peace and love.
Hey, family. Unfortunately, the event Kinsey was promoting for October 12th in Alpharetta, Georgia was canceled. The band Purple Flux was traveling from Florida and, due to Hurricane Milton, is unable to continue the tour at this time. So go ahead and follow Kinsey and Purple Flux for rescheduling updates. Let's keep the band and everyone affected by these devastating storms in our prayers. Peace and love.